Welcome to Talk SCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys, and we're going to be reviewing the game between Levante and Barcelona. Now, just to cut a long story short, to start this video, we've lost tonight's game by 5 goals to 4. Now, I'll just repeat that for those of you who may have come in from work or you've been out for the day. Lucky you, you've missed the game, and you're thinking, what was the score? You know, how did we get on today? How many goals did we win by? Did we play well? We've lost the game by 5 goals to 4. We have conceded 5 goals to Levante, and I have absolutely no idea how this has happened. And I was thinking, you know, do we know how this has happened? And then I was actually thinking, yes, we know how this has happened because this isn't the first embarrassment of the season. And time after again this season, we have come here and we've said it's not good enough. We've not played well enough. We haven't been consistent. We haven't made the right changes in terms of personnel in the lineups week in, week out. And time after time, there has been one consistent factor right throughout our season: Lionel Messi. Time and time again, that man has dragged us from the depths of hell and somehow got us winning games. Being unbeaten up to this point has been not all Lionel Messi. You can't take it away from the team what they've achieved this season, and I don't want to do that. We've won the cup, we've won the league, we have done a double. There's nothing that anybody can do to take that away from us. But if you watch Barcelona over the course of the season, you cannot put your hand on your heart and say we deserve to go unbeaten, because we didn't. This was not a team and this was not a season that was in the history books for record making. It wasn't like that at all. This was a mediocre season where we have got the trophies that we tried to do. We've got the league, we've got the cup, and credit to them for that. But tonight was more evidence that it's simply not good enough. There are so many things right now at this football club, from the coach to the players, but most importantly, above all of that, the board, which are ruining, absolutely ruining the club that we all love, the values that we really do thrive upon at Barcelona. They're ruining them. They're stripping the club of those values, and right now, there's nothing that we can do about it. And that's what hurts, because a lot of people coming here today will say one of two things. They'll either come here and say it was a one-off, this was a game that, you know, it went wrong. They'll blame somebody like Yerry Mina or Luis Suarez. They'll single players out. And look, don't get me wrong, Yerry Mina today, atrocious. Luis Suarez, very, very bad game from him. But apart from Felipe Coutinho, who scored a fantastic hat-trick, by the way, and maybe Gerard Piqué, who showed a bit of enthusiasm when he came on, who else really can come off that pitch today feeling good about themselves? This wasn't about one individual player. This was about a team, about a coach, about a club right now that, like I say, we just about this season, I think, managed to get this league title. Whether Real Madrid have been well below par or not, I really don't know. Because I think next season, if Real Madrid get their stuff together, if they really start doing the right things in the same way they have done in the Champions League, we have got a massive problem on our hands. Because just like we saw against Rome, there is a big problem here. And it's not about one game. If you come here and say this was a one-off match, it was a one slip-up and we need to write it off, you have not been watching this season, because it hasn't been good enough. And as a collective effort, as a collective group of players, following their coach's instructions, it hasn't been Barca. And when you do that for so long, when you strip the club of its traditions, we don't use our academy any longer. We don't promote Barcelona B players. Right throughout this season, there has not been one element of trust in those players coming from within. And you just look at the players that were out there today. You even look at the likes of Yerry Mina. People will say, you know, it was a diabolical performance. And I agree, he was dreadful today. But why have we signed him? The reason for that? The board. They brought him in as a cheaper option. A cheaper option exactly to what? Why couldn't you look from within? Go to Barcelona B. If you want a fourth centre-back, Yerry Mina hasn't even played a handful of games since we signed him for just over 12 million euros. He hasn't even played a handful of games. Why not look to Cuenca, somebody in Barcelona B who at least understands the style of Barca, who has at least been learning at the club in a European country, in Spain, for a number of years. In Instead, we feel the need to go to Brazil, pay, like I say, over 10 million euros for a guy who's never ever played in Europe before. And it's not only that, clearly Valverde hasn't had any faith in him, and possibly with good reason. But why sign him then in the first place? And then you're thinking, well, don't make such a meal of Yerry Mina. It's not all about Mina, and absolutely right. But that is the board through and through. They've made bad decision after bad decision after bad decision. Every single summer, they rely on one Galactico signing, maybe even two, that'll go out and they'll blind the Sochis for yet another year. They'll bring in Griezmann in the summer, and it'll be fantastic. A superstar coming to Barca, somebody that we all know, somebody who, of course, is a fantastic player, and they'll bring him in, and then they'll pretend like everything is okay, and it's not okay. That midfield has been neglected year upon year upon year. Our defence was absolutely atrocious tonight. Conceding 5 goals against Levante is not acceptable on any level, and it all comes back to Lionel Messi, and it all comes back to the fact that I believe he has got us this league title, he has got us this cup, and he has basically kept us to this point unbeaten. And like I said on Twitter earlier on, I have never ever seen a Barcelona team so dependent on Lionel Messi, and that seems so strange, because when Neymar left, all we heard was Valverde is going to make Barca more rounded. Barca are now not going to be dependent on Messi, they're not going to be dependent on Suarez. If anything, we're more dependent on Messi now. Without Messi, we couldn't have kept our unbeaten run going against Sevilla. We were 2-0 down, he was on the bench, he was half fit, we had to drag him onto the field when he was half fit just to get us back in the game. Even a few weeks ago, not even looking too far into the distance, the game against Deportivo La Coruña, they're fighting to stay in La Liga. We win the league on that day thanks to a Lionel Messi hat-trick. If he wasn't there, would we have got that? Who knows? What we know is when Messi isn't on the pitch, we lack a leader, we lack any sort of team ambition there, and we just lose focus. And it goes back to that game in Rome where you saw it coming, where it wasn't a one-off, because this is what it has been all season long. It's been just getting through the next game. We'll just get through this game and then we'll move on. That has never been the Barcelona way. Right now, looking at it, it looks like there isn't a direction, there isn't a clear plan right from the very top. I don't blame Valverde for everything that's going on right now. He is only there because the board appointed him. They are the root problem. If you get rid of Valverde, I think you could find somebody who plays a better style of football and could have us playing a different sort of brand that we've seen, more of the Barcelona way. I think if you brought somebody new in next season, you would at least excite the fans and you would get us once again enthusiastic really about watching Barcelona, and that would be an improvement. But this goes a lot deeper than Valverde. This goes to Bartomeu. He should have gone last summer. The Sochis shouldn't have been blind to it. They should have stood up, they should have got their vote, they should have supported Benedito's campaign. Instead, they turned a blind eye, and in that moment, they once again ruined our football club. Because for far, far too long now, we have neglected the things which took us originally to the very top. When Pep Guardiola came in, he was promoting from within, he was having faith in the players that we were producing, he had an absolute clear plan of the way we wanted to play, and that doesn't change. You don't go into a game, have a plan, and then suddenly think, actually, we're going to change it around. Like again, I go back to that Roma game, it's a completely different style of play, we sit back in our own half, and we got beat. You don't concede 3 goals to Roma in a Champions League quarter-final by accident, just in the same way that you do not concede 5 goals to Levante by accident. These are not accidents, these were accidents that were waiting to happen. You could have seen this coming a few weeks ago, you could have seen this building, and that's what it seems right now under Valverde, under the regime that Barcelona currently is. It's almost like you're waiting. It's like waiting for something to happen that you know is there. You know we have problems at the very root of Barcelona. You know they're there, but you're just not quite sure when we're going to implode. Tonight we saw that. The unbeaten streak was on the line. We lost it in an embarrassing fashion. One of the worst defeats, one of the worst defensive performances we've had in La Liga for many, many years indeed. It could have been a lot worse if it wasn't for Coutinho, who's at least made the scoreline look a bit more presentable. But the way we went down today, the way we completely capitulated when things weren't good. And you know what really saddens me? Andres Iniesta. He is having to bow out. A legend of the club, a legend of the game, a football icon in my eyes. He is having to bow out in this sort of way. He went off once again after an hour, and we were at that point really, really rock bottom. I'm talking, this is a diabolical display. And he went points off, and to see him leaving the pitch once again, just like against Roma, where that's the way he bowed out of the Champions League, that is not acceptable. That's an absolute disgrace that we've done that to a legend of the game without Lionel Messi tonight for whatever reason. I don't know the full extent of it. I know we're playing a friendly in midweek, but whatever has happened tonight has happened, and like I say, guys, please leave your thoughts down below, because it has been a tough night. It's been one that has not been a one-off for me. Some of you might think this is a one-off game that we just played badly and we can write it off, but the longer we keep writing things off, the worse these problems are getting. I don't know what we can do. I don't know if there's anything we can do. We've just got to sit back and hope that somehow these decisions that are made, and they're made in the right way. I don't know if it's possible, and I'm sorry to come here and be so negative, but tonight we've lost our unbeaten streak. We've done it in an extremely embarrassing way, and once again, just like after the Roma game, we're sat here thinking, how do we change things? What is going wrong? And clearly, we have problems. I will see you in the days to come, guys, with more videos. Hopefully then we can put more of a positive spin on things. Hopefully there is light at the end of the tunnel at some point. I don't know what we can do right now. It's going to take a bit of time once again for the dust to settle. I'm sorry you had to watch once again that performance tonight. It was appalling in many areas, and hopefully we can move on, and maybe next season we can have some positivity and some good things that happen over the summer. We will have to wait and see, but until then, as always, Vesca el Barça.